Cleopatra, the Egyptian queen who is often remembered for her affairs with two of Rome's most prominent generals, well, her story is much more complex and impactful than the scandals say. Her reign brought Egypt nearly 22 years of stability and prosperity. You might wonder, why don't we even know what Cleopatra looks like? Well, most of the art description of her come long after her lifetime in the 1st century BCE, just like most of the things written about her. So, what do we actually know? Cleopatra was the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Macedonian Greek family that governed Egypt after its conquest by Alexander the Great. So she ruled jointly in Alexandria with her brother, to whom she was also married until he had her exiled. But what does all of this have to do with Rome? Egypt had long been a Roman client state, and Cleopatra's father had incurred large debts in the Republic. After being defeated by Julius Caesar in Rome's civil war, the general Pompey sought refuge in Egypt but was executed by Cleopatra's brother instead. Caesar, finding the murder distasteful, demanded the repayment of Egypt's debt. He could have annexed Egypt, but Cleopatra convinced him to restore her to the throne instead. Cleopatra was a fascinating woman. She commanded armies at the age of 21, spoke several languages, and was educated in a city with the world's finest library and some of the greatest scholars of the time. She kept Caesar in Egypt for months when Rome needed him. During this time, Caesar was not just idle. He was fascinated by Egypt's culture and knowledge. When he returned to Rome, he reformed the calendar, commissioned his census, made plans for a public library, and proposed many new infrastructure projects. Action that ultimately contributed to his assassination. But don't blame Cleopatra for Rome's complex politics. Her job was ruling Egypt, and she did it very well. She stabilized the economy, managed the vast bureaucracy, and curbed corruption by priests and officials. When drought hit, she opened the granaries to the public and passed a tax amnesty, all while preserving her kingdom's stability and independence with no revolts during the rest of her reign. So, what went wrong? After Caesar's death, Cleopatra couldn't stop meddling in Rome's matters. Actually, it was the Roman faction who came demanding her aid. She had no choice but to support Octavian and Mark Antony in avenging Caesar, if only for the sake of their son. Cleopatra and Antony were seen as a disaster by the Roman Republic. They offended traditional Roman sensibilities with their lavish celebrations, sitting on golden thrones, and dressing up as gods, until Octavian had all of Rome convinced of their megalomania. And yet, it was Octavian who attacked Antony, annexed Egypt, and declared himself emperor. It was the Romans' fear of a woman in power that ended their republic, not Cleopatra herself. Cleopatra's story survived mainly in the accounts of her enemies in Rome, and later writers filled the gaps with rumors and stereotypes. We may never know the full truth of her life and her reign, but we can separate fact from rumors by learning more about Egypt's history. Thank you for watching. Please comment and subscribe. Bye bye.